Hey, you're listening to Biggie Outdoor Radio here, top of the hour, 10 o'clock segment, and we are brought to you by Snap Fitness with 2 locations in town, one over in Weston and one in Wausau, across from the Fleet Farm. New location, all remodeled. Go see them. They are offering the Summer for Free program out there. You have to go out there and ask them how that works. And go check out their training classes and all their new machines and equipment and free weights. They got all the supplements you need. You can get all ripped and have that nice GQ body out there. You can look like Big E too if you'd like to, or look like my son Brandon if you want to. They're open 24/7 to members, and head on out there and get in shape. And we are on location here in South Africa doing some hunting with Boss Safaris, and I got some new friends here from World Class Outdoor Adventures. I got Steve Hicks, and Steve has someone special here with him. Kate. Kate is a new hunter, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Kate came along with Steve, and Kate, had you hunted before you came to Africa?
No.
No? Not even in Alaska?
I've never shot anything, though.
No. So
she did kill a fish before we came.
She did.
She caught some fish. Yep. I caught some king salmon.
Okay.
So she did good.
So let me ask you: were you an anti-hunter?
No.
No. You were a non-hunter. You just hadn't never done it before.
Mm.
Okay. Well, then you come from an important group of people, whether you know it or not, because there's a lot of anti-hunters, and then there's a lot of hunters. And we kind of balance each other out in the world.
Right.
But then there's the non-hunters, who actually are the biggest group. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, actually, there's about 10 to 12% of the population is hunters, 10 to 12% of the population is anti-hunters, and the balance in between is non-hunters, the undecided. So those are the folks that we need to reach out to, and
those are the ones that decide our laws.
That's right.
Yeah.
You guys are the ones that either we look good to or we look bad to, and if the anti-hunters make a better argument, then they win you over, and if we make a better argument, then we win you over. Yeah. So obviously somebody won you over here, got you out hunting.
Yep.
So what did you think of the whole idea of coming to Africa, first of all?
Well, it's South Africa. Who doesn't want to come to South Africa at some point in their life? I mean, it's a whole new country. It's huge. It's beautiful. It's one of those once in a lifetime things.
Yep.
And I'm all for it. You only live once.
There you go. And when you were coming here, did you know you were going to hunt?
I did.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
And what, did Steve take you out shooting?
I mean, I've shot before. I'm a pretty good shot. I'm pretty confident with my guns, but I've just never shot anything live.
And some nice guns, I might say.
Yeah.
That you have there. Don't you think, Steve?
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
Anyway,
if we only had film on this radio show, a video on this show right now.
It's too bad you can't see what we can see here. But anyway,
we didn't tell them about the bikini.
Yeah.
There was no bikini.
In my mind, there
was. They don't know that. So anyway, jeez.
I don't even know where we
this
were.
This is a new radio show now. All of a sudden,
I'm thinking about something totally different than kudu right now. That's for sure.
My little springbuck's gonna be a bikini in the near future. I have a feeling.
Yeah, you could make a springbuck bikini.
Yeah.
There
in
you
Alaska, go. They have fur bikinis they sell.
There you go.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that was your first kill, springbuck.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
The double kill. And a long distance too yet.
Yeah.
300 yards.
A little over, yeah.
With a rifle and great shooting. And then today would be the second animal you got, a warthog.
Yep.
And that's a pretty cool looking little warthog you got.
Oh, yeah. That was, it was a good spot and stalk. It was pretty neat. We got right up on them. And
no intention to get the warthog by any means. I was after zebra.
Yep.
But
zebra.
Warthog
What are you gonna do with a zebra if we get a zebra for you? You gonna rug it or full body mount it or?
Undecided.
I'm looking, Steve. Steve, you didn't like that idea? Full body mount?
I don't know where we're going to put a horse in the house, but
Yeah.
Well,
we'll figure it out.
Put a saddle on that thing.
Yeah, for sure. Kids will like it.
See what it looks like and make a decision from there.
Sure.
I'm thinking that would make an excellent rug.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Rugs or, the chest piece pedestals always look really nice. Or a half life size is really nice. I've done a few mounts of those.
I was thinking more like a
Well, yeah, that's
purse
right.
or
You
something.
do your own taxidermy, so
Sure.
this life-size
Yeah.
thing's not that out of reach.
Well, it gets out of hand when you think it's cheaper, that you just mount 10 times more stuff, so it ends up being the exact same price. But yes, yeah. I have a good friend that I've done taxidermy with for years and years, and being that I'm in the outfitting business too, so I try to, any of my clients that leave stuff there, I run it through him the best I can, and it just works out well that I can do my stuff there. So he helps. I mean, I know a lot. I've been worked with him for 20 years now, and so I can do most of it myself, but I let him do the detail work, and then I finish up. So
Awesome. So when you come back next year, do you think that you're interested in bow hunting or crossbow hunting or?
Probably bow hunting. I've been enjoying the long distance shots just because it's a nice challenge. I have not practiced, over 100 yards. So for me to try and shoot, 300 plus, it's a challenge. It's fun for me. I enjoy
You're really
it.
reaching out there and touching them.
that's
Yeah.
right.
The gun kick doesn't scare you at all?
No.
You're handling it well. I
No,
noticed she's
she
not
shoots well.
flinching.
No, she shoots
she's
well.
not complaining about it,
Nope.
and she's not.
Well, we were talking about that earlier. Most women shoot well. I
They
mean,
do.
women that shoot well.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, they always say that men have egos. You know what I mean? It's stereotypical, but it's just the ego thing. The women
Right.
don't have that, and they tend to shoot.
I feel like
really well.
women are real afraid of the larger rifles and such because of the kick.
Yep.
They
Yes.
are, but yet at the same time, women take training better than men do. And so when you're bringing women into the hunting sport,
Sure.
they come into it with a lot more of an open mind.
Yeah.
And it seems like whenever you're bringing a new gal into hunting, they sit down and they start shooting, and it's like they become tack drivers.
Yeah.
And I hate to admit it, but it's like any gal
Yeah.
I've ever taught to
Well,
shoot, they become better shots than I
Guys,
am.
in the States that are, even weekend warriors, so to speak, hunters, they
Yeah.
they hunt deer and they hunt stuff with, smaller caliber rifles, so they think that they know, everything about guns and hunting, and so when they come to a place that's, different than what they're used to, they don't really want to, they listen in one ear and out the other, you know what I mean? They want to listen to, but then when you grab a 416, or a 500 nitro or something big for these dangerous game, it's a whole different kind of shooting than shooting a 30-06, and it makes a difference,
I wonder how much of a rifle you really need for some of this dangerous game.
I mean, realistically, I've never seen an elephant killed yet or a leopard, but I mean, a 375 will kill everything here.
I
That's
think so.
required by law. You have to have a 375, but a 375, especially a good quality, 375 safari grade or something. And they're all heavy. You get a nice heavy 10 or 12 pound 375 with a muzzle brake on it. I mean, they really don't kick. They bark loud or whatever, but they're heavy and they don't kick. I mean,
Yeah,
a
the
lot
heavier
of
the
lighter
better.
caliber guns kick a lot harder than. The heavier the caliber, the less it kicks. It's just more of a push.
My
You know what I mean?
380 kicks more than the 375 of yours that I was shooting. I think it has more of a kick in the hand than I feel in the
For
shoulder.
sure. Yeah.
Really?
Your pistol. Yeah.
My little pistol.
Yeah, that's well, the thing is when you're shooting at game too,
You don't notice at
you
all.
don't
Yeah.
pay any attention to it.
And maybe that's what it is, yeah.
When you lay down on a bench with a 416, you're not going to be very
And-
happy
and
after
a
6
t-shirt.
shots. Yes.
Yeah, I know. I did that
Yeah.
with a 375 once, and a box of shells and a T-shirt, and ended up with a black and blue arm.
Sure.
But like I said, I've been impressed with the shooting that you've done, and I'm hoping to see a little bit more of it.
I'm upset I missed that Impala earlier.
Well, you know what? I think we had a lot of anticipation
Sure.
on that.
Sure.
And it was far as a first shot.
Don't get discouraged. Everybody misses.
Of course.
So
She's hit everything that she's shot at so far. So
yeah,
It was a
Nice.
disappointment. It was my first miss.
that's why I haven't shot at anything yet, because I'm afraid to miss.
sure.
So that way I can still be 100%.
Right.
So, what would you tell anybody's wife out there that's thinking about coming along with them to Africa? We've only got a couple minutes left, so let's talk about that.
Come. It's a once in a lifetime experience. I mean, even if you don't shoot anything, at least come experience it. And the shooting part, it's not as scary as you think it is. It's really not. It's I'm kind of addicted to it now. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
Well, there's a lot.
yeah, just don't be scared of it. Don't be afraid. Try it.
There's a lot of other things to do here too, besides just the hunting. You know,
Yep.
so it's great for the whole family.
Beautiful country here.
Because a lot of women are thinking about coming along with their husbands, you know.
Bring the bikinis.
And then then they're always worried about, you know, well, maybe I don't want to go. It's a long way to go, you know. And what am I going to do with the husbands?
Nope, come. Even if you go for a ride in the buggies with them in the trucks, you know, you can see the baby giraffes. You can see all the animals. I mean, it's not something you see or experience every day.
Well,
even if you're not going to shoot anything, I mean, definitely come for the experience.
There was a couple of times, you know, because of the blisters that you had, that you didn't go along with us walking and stalking and hunting, and you
I stayed in the truck.
in the truck with the guys and went riding around looking at animals and stuff. And you know, I was worried that you were bored up there.
Nope. I find when you're sitting in the truck quietly and you guys are off stalking, you should see the stuff that walks up to the truck, walks right by. I mean, it's everywhere you look, there's something new.
Did you hear that, ladies? She sits quietly. That's a key. That's not something that's real common.
I got nothing to say.
You're not saying anything? See, I'm like 21-hour flight from any woman that's going to hurt me right now, and she should forget before I get home, so I'm safe. Well, anyway, Kate, thanks for coming and sitting down with us. Great shooting.
No
Good
problem.
to have you here.
Thanks.
And enjoying the heck out of Africa. Steve, thanks for sitting down with us. Anybody looking for a great hunt for bear, moose, sheep? What else you hunt up there?
We hunt, I mean, everything, pretty much everything, all the big species, but brown and black bear, moose, goat, sheep, we do caribou.
There you go.
I mean, we can set people up. I mean, we will do flight seeing trips in the Cubs, you know, everything's airplanes in Alaska, so I'll do flight seeing trips. I mean, we take people out and drop them off on backpacking trips. I mean, pretty much anything in the outdoors we can cover.
And we'll be back after these messages. Well, welcome back to Biggie Outdoor Radio, and we are still here in Africa, in South Africa. And now sitting here with me, I have Wayne, one of the owners of Boss Safaris. Are you a partner, right?
Yes, I'm part owner of Boss Safaris, yes.
Okay. Wayne, we've had a couple of the guests here. We had Steve and Kate sitting in with us. And we even had your partner, Leon, sitting here and giving us a little bit of his insight into some of the hunting in South Africa. And we were talking a little bit about the meat, how the meat gets distributed to the people of Africa. And remember the conversation that we had with Steve Van up at the Kalahari. We've talked a little bit about the new hunters getting involved and the women. And how long have you been doing PH work, or have you been a PH in Africa?
Yes, I've been hunting professionally for about I think it's about 4 years now. Yeah.
So you actually travel around and you do you have multiple concessions that you work with, so you're not limited to one place.
Yes, no, we hunt throughout South Africa and in our neighboring countries, including Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Tanzania, and Namibia. And while we're waiting for Botswana to open up hunting again, and we'll be there.
Okay. What do you hunt up in Zimbabwe and Namibia and all those places?
Well, in Zimbabwe and Mozambique, we've got two different concessions. One is more aquatic than the other, and I prefer using the one in Mozambique for species like hippo and especially crocodile. I mean, there's big croc on that concession, but sable and buffalo, and we do elephant hunts as well. This is Mozambique speaking now. And then in Zimbabwe, the buffalo are really good there, and we do leopard in both countries as well. Namibia offers us some more plains game options as well. So yes, there's so much opportunities or possibilities to choose from.
All right. Well, we were talking about all the different things that like lion meat gets used for crocodiles and giraffe meat and zebra meat, what that all gets used for, and we talked about what the bones can be used for.
Yes.
And I forgot to mention with Leon about feeding the vultures and the vulture graveyard or whatever they were calling that.
Yes, the vulture restaurant.
The vulture restaurant, that's what it was up there. So actually, some of the stuff is actually being used to help other species of animals as well.
Yes, definitely. I just want to add on that the vultures, are a very endangered species, and they, because of poaching, namely one of the big problems, and the other problem being the medicinal trade. People would poison meat, or especially with predators. Coming back to problem animals as well, people would poison animals, and the vultures would eat that animal that might be poisoned, and they would in turn also get poisoned. But on the medicinal trade side of it, people were actually killing vultures for medicinal values.
Really?
Yeah. So this whole project started when we as South Africans, or we as our countrymen, we decided we needed to do something about it, and a lot of guys actually stepped in and opened or started doing this whole vulture restaurant, which is basically an area where we drop old carcasses, pieces of meat that might not have been used, or in that sense, for these animals to eat and help them with their population.
So it seems like you guys are in South Africa are actually more concerned about even species of animals that aren't being hunted. You're concerned about all the endangered animals, even like we were talking about the tigers that are not even in your country. You're concerned about the vultures, and you're concerned about the jackals, even though we hunt the jackals, and the baboons.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes, no, definitely. Look, it comes down to us being hunters. We, in a sense, we're conservationists as well. We do our best to save, because we, at the end of the day, we want our kids to see or experience what we experience. Okay. So, conserving one species might, be able to help, for future generations, to experience the same as what we experienced.
So what would happen in your mind? What role do you think that trophy hunters play? And before you answer that, and I said earlier in my radio show, I mentioned about how I used to shy away from the term trophy hunters because trophy hunters catch a bad rap, and the anti-hunters use that term trophy hunting as a bad thing. But and I used to try to get around that when I was defending hunters. Until this trip, it actually, and I've been coming to Africa now for quite a few years, but it was this trip when I was up there talking with you and Steve and Pat and Leon, and we were sitting in that little circle, and we were talking, and we started talking about trophy hunters and what the trophy hunters did, that I started realizing that trophy hunting is not a bad thing.
No, not at all. Look, trophy hunting, and I embrace the word trophy hunting, to be honest. Trophy hunting has done more for conservation in South Africa than any other form of conservation, to be honest. All the funds needed for anti-poaching, all that comes from what we generate. There's a lot of charity campaigns being ran, and in my eyes, you can only do so much with that. When it comes to trophy hunting, all that money comes in, all that revenue comes in. There's a large percentage of that goes back into the animals themselves, to increase the population. South Africa wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for trophy hunters on the ecological side. It just wouldn't have happened, to be honest.
Wayne was talking about, it's not Wayne, excuse me, Leon was talking about the fact that, the lions, because there's an end user, the lions are being farmed, and some of them go back to the wild, and they're being farmed because of the trophy hunters, and the sable was brought back because of the trophy hunters, and because there's an end user that gives the breeders a reason to farm sables. And they brought back not only sables, but they're bringing back big sables. And the same with a lot of these animals. I mean, they're bringing back a lot of different species, blue dikers and all these different little animals that were endangered. And so then we got into talking about, the people that are being fed. And we always keep talking about poachers and poaching, and hunters and poachers get balled together when the anti-hunters talk about them. They always like to compare us to poachers, but we're not poachers.
Yeah, we actually the complete opposite, to be honest.
Yep.
There is a large difference in poaching and hunting. For example, poachers, they take whatever they can, any means necessary. I've seen with my own two eyes what a poacher does to our animals, and I don't understand how people can compare that to an ethical means of hunting an animal and hunting and harvesting a mature animal and being selective about it.
Right.
There's a big difference between killing everything and then being selective or selectively hunting a certain animal.
Right.
So like I say,
The other thing that, as I've been learning a little bit more about poaching, actually, when I used to think of poachers, I used to think of somebody that was just going out, killing animals, cutting their heads off of them for the horns or whatever, and then leaving it lay. But I'm actually learning that we can actually force people into poaching by cutting out hunting.
Yes, no, definitely.
If we stopped hunting here in Africa, that would cut out a big food source, and that would force a lot of the local villages and those people to go poach, because we would stop their food source.
Yes.
They don't have the money to buy food otherwise.
Yes, no, definitely. Look, we as hunters, we obviously give the local people meat for consumption and so on. If hunting had to stop, these people wouldn't get food anymore from us. And that's obviously a chain reaction that occurs, because 80% of poaching is substantial poaching. It's for people, we class poaching in different classes. We from syndicate to substantial, or sustainable, poaching, where the guys at the sustainable level are poaching just to keep their bellies full. And that's about 80% of poaching. And then you go into your higher levels of poaching, your syndicate poaching, which is basically rhinos, where it's actually a syndicate operation. And these guys are using helicopters to, high-powered rifles. But coming back to hunting, if we don't hunt, these people don't get food, and when you're hungry, you're gonna do what it takes to get food.
Right.
And that's where the poaching comes in.
So there, when Steve up there at the Kalahari was saying that they give half of their meat goes right to the villages. Do you think that a lot of the concessions that we're hunting at, do they give a good portion of their meat to the locals, or some of it, or is that just unusual that they do that?
No, not at all. It's actually quite common to get that, because let's call me as a landowner. If I didn't give for the people around me any meat or anything, I know they're gonna come poach the animals on my land, and in turn I'm losing business, to be honest. So it's rather feed them, keep them full, and they will stop poaching.
Really? Well, we're gonna come back and talk about that here in just a little bit. So stay with us, and we'll be right back with Wayne from Boss Safaris. You're listening to Big E Outdoor Radio. Hey, welcome back to Big E Outdoor Radio. And before the break there, we were talking with Wayne and Boss Safaris here, and we were talking about poachers and the different levels of poaching. And we were talking about syndicated poachers there, being the guys that are going around with helicopters and shooting the rhinos and things like that. Those are the commercialized poachers.
Yes.
Right.
Look, there's a very high Asian demand for rhino horn, and rhino horn itself has become very, very valuable. to the extent that the horn itself is more valuable than the animal. And when it comes to that, people are going to poach the animal. Once again, when hunting places a value on an animal, that the animal will gain its value. And when the animal is more valuable alive, then that's when that rhino will stop being poached.
Right. And so in order to help alleviate that, I noticed that one of the things that I learned at the Kalahari with Steve and with Leon telling me that they've tried to come up with alternative things to give those Asian folks like the lion bones instead of the Bengal tiger bones, and they're trying to come up with other things. CITES is.
Yes, no, definitely. Look, our lion bones are exported to those countries, and that's actually helping the tiger population in India. As you know, the tigers are being poached for their bones, and a good replacement for that is our lions that are legally hunted with all the right documentation and permits in place. And we got the okay from CITES to export those bones into Asia, and it really relieves some pressure on the tiger population.
Do they have anything that they think is possibly a relief to the rhino horn, or is there any end in sight for that?
At this stage, there's a lot of talk about trying to legalize the trade. That will give South Africa an opportunity to try and farm the rhino horn. Rhino horn is very similar to your fingernail. If you cut the horn off, it will grow back, same as your nail. If you cut your nail, it grows back. So there is a lot of efforts and so on, or a lot of rumor or talk going on of trying to put this in place, and it's still a long ways before it's going to take place, but that's there is talk about it, to try and farm the rhino horn and try and flood the market, so that we can stop the poaching.
The other thing that a lot of your anti-hunters come on and they always try to, like, if they see somebody that green hunted a rhino or that actually legally hunted a rhino, they try to come on and say that, it's an endangered species and that the rhino, there's one white rhino left in wild, and I don't know where they come up with that, because I know that a lot of these hunting places are wild, first of all. They have to come here and see how big they are.
Yes.
And there's white rhinos running around all over the place on them.
Yeah, South Africa's got an estimated white rhino population of more than 8,000, to be exact, which is actually a lot of animals. It is legal to hunt white and black rhino, given the proper documentation has been completed and we get the okay from CITES and so on. There is actually it actually helps our populations, or us trying to conserve these species, especially rhino. I mean, the monetary value that we get in for things like rhino is exactly what's keeping them alive.
Right.
How my question is always, how are we meant to put anti-poaching teams in place if we can't afford to pay them? It's a sad story, but no one works for free.
Right.
And neither do anti-poaching units.
The argument that I get on that is, why don't you just give the money to the people and keep the animal alive? Give them the money and let them try to keep the animal alive, and so I don't sometimes know how to answer that.
Yes.
So, is that possible?
Look,
or what would happen if we just got everybody to give the money and didn't hunt the animals? What would happen then?
Look, there's still. Well, look, then you're going back to you'll get an overpopulation and so on. But the main problem you're facing with, you start getting old bulls that become sterile and just aggressive. Right. And these bulls will keep the younger bulls that are fertile they'll keep them away from the females and actually stop breeding in whole. So hunting rhino, it's not as bad as everyone makes it sound. I mean, there's a lot of revenue going back into the animal. It's not that we're greedy and take it all for ourselves. You know, we care much for these animals, and we want our children and kids to experience these things. So at the end of the day, you know, it's important for me. It's important for everyone that comes here. It's, you know, our trophies hunters are, it's what's saving South Africa's wildlife, to be honest.
Right. So in other words, you know, and I guess then my argument has been right all along, that as these animals get to maturity and they become sterile or they become ornery because they're getting older or whatever, they've got to be culled out. They've got to be hunted out.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, if that rhino, you know, you basically got two options at the end of the day. You can either let that animal die from old age, or you can let it be hunted, and you know, you get the financial benefit out of it that obviously goes back into the species to conserve that species.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the one thing, like I said, I want our listeners to hear this, and I want them to be able to use this on social media and on Facebook and wherever they happen to run into anti-hunters. And I'm hoping that what we can do is get a lot more folks to book some hunts and come to Africa and bring their families along and things like that. How do you look at Africa as far as being safe for people to bring their families over here, disease-wise, as far as safety for their families, things like that?
Look, as far as disease goes, I mean, we only get malaria in a far corner of South Africa that hardly, I mean, it's a minority area that we don't really even hunt in, to be honest. Yes, they you know, up north to Mozambique and so on, you'll start finding areas with malaria in, but South Africa as a whole, there's not really any diseases to worry about. I mean, you should obviously just for a precautionary go see your physician and talk to him and get the necessary shots, what he might think, but otherwise, you know, there's nothing really to worry about. And
That's what I've noticed too. I mean, I come here and fly back and forth. I've never gotten sick when I've come here. It's always nice and safe. I see, you know, people bringing their wives here and bringing their girlfriends here. And
yes, most certainly. I think the media in whole has set a certain vision, could I say, on Africa or South Africa, or not, you know, in Africa as a whole, that it's a very rural place. But I mean, no, we don't walk around with tigers or lions in the streets type thing. You know, we actually very developed, and you know, it's actually a very safe place.
Yep.
I mean, for the kids, for the wife, you know, we cater for all.
well, I noticed you have a lot of additional things for them to do. You have just today you sent one of the gals out to have a little tour. She got to go to a place where there were lions and tigers to be petted, and I think she's going to get a massage, and there's all different things for them to do.
Oh, most certainly. Day tours, you know, we've got tours to the Pilanesberg National Reserve. We'll see rhino, elephant, buffalo, basically the whole big five, plains game and so on. We've got spas close by that, like you said, we're sending one of the girls there on Sunday, and we've got lion parks. You can play with cubs and so on, see lions up close, have a walk with them through the bush and so on. It's actually a very, very interesting day tour to do.
Yeah, sounds like even some of the guys might like to do that.
No, I'm pretty sure they will. It's definitely a life experience of a lifetime. And to do something like that is really a privilege when coming to South Africa.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. How many first-time hunters do you think that people that have come here that have come along with a hunter and never hunted before, do you think you've seen a lot of them?
Absolutely. We get them quite often, actually. It's always when they do come over, they actually, how can I say, they think it's their first impression is it's hunting, right. as anyone that never has been hunting might think. But when they actually see what happens behind the scenes of that photo you put up on Facebook or whatever, then they start to understand what it's all about, and they see the ethics that go into it, and the hard work. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it.
And then they decide to take part in it? And
yes, most certainly. I'd say 95% of the people that come end up shooting their first animal in Africa itself.
Yeah. It's also something I want to point out to everybody, that it's probably one of the most affordable excursions that you will ever go on if you're a hunter, is to come to Africa, book yourself a good hunting package, come on over here and go on a hunt. And if you're looking for something great to do, book your hunt with Boss Safaris. These guys definitely pay attention to all your needs. They're going to make sure that you get the hunt of a lifetime. Wayne and Leon and their PH staff are going to take really good care of you. They're going to make sure your meals are out of this world. The places that you stay are all 4 and 5 star. One thing's for sure, you're well taken care of while you're over here. And I don't believe that you could ever get a better experience anywhere in the world. And Wayne, I want to thank you again for taking the time to sit down with me here. And I want to thank you for the great time that I've had so far. And we will have you back on the radio again in the future. And looking forward to talking with you again real soon. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir, and I really do appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome back to Biggie Outdoor Radio, and we're wrapping up this hour here in South Africa. You know, I've been over here for about a week now with Boss Safaris, and I've been hunting some plains game and some dangerous game with the folks at Boss Safaris and some of their guests. They're a sponsor of our television shows, of Big E TV television shows, Big E TV, Both Sides of the Fence, and the Big E TV Wide Open Show, which is going to be taking on a new name here very soon. Boss Safari is going to be a major partner in that, and we're going to be hunting all over the world and doing some very, very exciting and high adrenaline hunts. You're going to be catching us on some of the best outdoor networks that there are on cable television and satellite TV. You know, one of our major goals on Big E TV and Big E Outdoors is not only to bring you quality entertainment, but also to educate the hunters and especially the non-hunters out there on the truths that go on behind the scenes and some of the things that we, even as hunters, may not know. And like I told you, I even learned some things on this hunt that are going to be helpful the next time that I come into contact with anti-hunters and non-hunters that ask questions and post things. You know, there's a lot of myths out there, and there's a lot of things that get said, and when we come back and we try to battle these issues, having good knowledge and having really good facts rather than just things that we've heard and rumors and things that we think is definitely a key to making a good case for ourselves as hunters, as a group. And that all goes hand in hand with us sticking together as a unit. And when I say as a unit, I mean all hunters, whether you are African hunters, whether you are high fence hunters, whether you are bow hunters, rifle hunters, dog hunters, bear hunters, duck hunters, pheasant hunters, fishermen, it doesn't matter. You're outdoorsmen. When the time comes to get along, you need to get along. You need to stand together as a solid voice. That is the ultimate underlying goal and mission of Big E Outdoors all the time. So we travel around, and not only do we try to bring you some great things and some high adrenaline activities and some really cool things, but we always try to bring you a little bit of knowledge and try to show you how important it is to stand together and be able to stand up for your fellow outdoorsmen. When you see someone attacking them, whether it be in person, in public, or on social media, you need to jump to their rescue or jump to their aid and help them out if you have the ammunition or if you have the knowledge to do so. And again, you heard the folks from Boss Safaris here. These guys are professionals. They are professional hunters. They've been trained. Now, Leon with Boss Safaris has been in this business for a long time. He is a former police officer from the South African Police Force. He worked with South African intelligence and their military services and with their conservation departments. He actually knows what he's talking about, folks. He knows his numbers. He knows the animals. Some of these guys have been with these lodges for a long time, and these lodges that I'm working with are involved with the conservation efforts to bring these animals back. They know how much money has been pumped into Africa's conservation efforts and into Africa's economy by hunters. If you're listening to this radio show, you're a hunter, you're an outdoorsman, and you're a conservationist, and these kind of things are helpful to you. So I don't really need to convince you of the job that hunters do for the environment and for everybody out there. But the information that I can provide you with is definitely something that is helpful for you to have in the back of your mind when you run into somebody or someone posts something on your Facebook on one of your photos and you don't know what to say. Rather than just posting some figure that you pull out of the air, try to get some facts. Like I said, 1.6 billion rand, which comes out to be, I don't know, it could break that down divided by 10, several $million brought into Africa's economy last year alone, and they figure that's going to be doubled this year by hunters. That's brought into the economy. This helps people over here eat. It helps them buy tires. It helps them build buildings. It causes housing to be built. It helps everything. If hunting stops, these people have to figure out new ways to bring money into the income. Not to mention the fact that when these animals have no value, when there's no end value on these animals from being hunted, nobody cares about producing them anymore. Nobody cares about raising them and bringing in better genetics. They're just going to be left in the wild. And you can turn around and try to get people to throw money at them all you want. But let me tell you something out there, anti-hunters. You're not bringing in any money to help these animals survive. The money is coming from hunters. End of story. And we're the ones that have been bringing them back from extinction or near extinction and from being endangered. When you look at the sable, it's a success story that has been brought back by hunters. When they try to tell you that there's only one white rhino left in the wild, they're full of beans. You just heard our professional hunters tell you that there's over 8,000 white rhinos in South Africa alone on hunting land. Now, yeah, this land is privately owned and it does have fences around it, but we're talking 20,000, 50,000, and 100,000 acre ranches. The fences are there to keep the poachers out, folks. And the land within it is being managed to make sure that the strong animals survive and that they're being managed properly, and that when the animal is mature and reached its peak age to be harvested, which is after it is beyond its prime breeding age, then it's harvested. That's how come they're coming back. So there's not one white rhino left out there, folks. There's over 8,000 white rhinos left, enough that we can now hunt them. And the same with black rhinos. The same with lions. There's only 3,000 left in the wild in southern Africa, not South Africa, in the whole southern Africa. 3,000 left. And they're not being wiped out just by poachers. They're being wiped out by tuberculosis and disease and by their own ecosystem. Why are they being brought back? By hunters. Hunters have been bringing them back because they're breeding them, not only for the hunting ranches, but also to put them back into the wild, healthy lions that are tuberculosis free. And there are now 6,000 of them that are being in breeding hands and in captivity, not necessarily captivity, but on these private facilities. So that means that there's 3 times the lions here today than there were 20 years ago. And it's because of hunters. Then these people do not have their figures straight. They don't have their numbers straight. They don't even have a clue what they're talking about. And I will tell you, you cannot turn the entire world into vegetarians. And if you take hunting away, the local villages and the people that are around here that have no money will resort to poaching. And they will wipe out these species of animals. And that's what happens when there's no laws and there's no hunting. So without hunters, there will be no animals. This is the only way to keep them around. And that is the plain and simple truth. And what's happening is CITES and all these organizations out there that manage our animals around the world are starting to realize that in order to save animals, they need us hunters. They've actually realized that instead of shutting down the import of lions into the United States, they need us to hunt them in order to save the Bengal tiger in a complete different country. Because without us hunting lions, they're going to continue to poach the tigers over there for the medicinal purposes of their bones and the things that the Asians are doing. But now that they can import the lion bones from us hunters, they've stopped poaching the Bengal tigers, and the Bengal tigers are on the comeback because of us trophy lion hunters, folks. The trophy hunters that are hunting the lions are saving the Bengal tiger. You get that? So the next time somebody posts something stupid on somebody's lion hunt, you can let them know that that lion just saved a Bengal tiger. That's exactly what it's doing. Every time a hunter is out there doing something, he's doing good somewhere around the world, because he's a legal hunter. Hunters are not poachers. And there are many different kinds of poachers out there. There's poachers that do it for commercial reasons. There's poachers that do it to feed their families. But regardless of the reason, poaching will deplete our resources and we won't have any animals. They won't have animals out there that are living out there and taking care of their own ecosystem. The animals will eventually be wiped out. They just can't do it anymore. And that is what's happened. So get a little bit of information from us. Get it from the books. I don't care where you get it, but get some information and arm yourselves, because we definitely need to educate the people out there that think they're educated and they are not. And I want to thank you for listening to Biggie Outdoor Radio here on SportsFan 100.5. Check us out on SportsFan100.5.com. And also check us out on your downloading your TuneIn Radio app there, and you can search us there on SportsFan 100.5 as well, and take us with you on the go wherever you are, and we'll be happy on entertaining you on Sunday mornings from 7 to 10 a.m. every Sunday. Thanks again. Biggie Outdoor Radio. We'll be back next week from Africa.